So this morning it is 6:47 on your drive into work. Futures are pointing a little bit lower this morning, but not much. Kind of flat. Not much happened over the weekend. But today we're talking a little bit about capitalism, and we talk about taking the risk about starting a business. And I thought it'd be good to bring in somebody who's actually in the process of doing it, so you can kind of hear their experience if you've been thinking about doing something. It's always good to have other people that have done it before you. So you can say, okay, well, they did it. I can do this too. And that's the important thing here. And again, capitalism, there's a lot of stories about how capitalism's broken and everybody wants socialism. Capitalism's not broken. You can start a business. You just have to be willing to basically pull up your big boy pants or girl pants in this case and go do it. You just have to take that risk. And of course, it's easier in some cases, and for instance, with your husband was working, he's got an income. So, you had kind of a support net to start a business with,
right? Which
is good. But even if you don't have that, the benefit of starting your own business is that as you said, you work for yourself, you have your own schedule, you can do the things that you want. But it's also rewarding because when you get the accolades, when somebody says, hey, that really helped me or I really appreciate it, that's all on you. It's not the company. It's not somebody else. It's not you just doing your job. It's you. And of course, the other side of that also comes when somebody complains. That's all you.
Right. Yes. We haven't gotten there yet, but
it'll happen.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It'll happen. But that's just part of business, right? And we learn from that. And, when we make a mistake or something doesn't work out the way we think, we go, okay. And this is the great thing about running a business is that when we make a mistake, we learn from it. We don't do that again, and we become better from it. We really don't become better from our success. We become better from our failures because that's what we learn from. So anyway, I wanted to talk to you about this because another aspect that is interesting is this intersection that's now occurring in today's society in particular between social media. And you had a big social media following. So this is an interesting way to monetize, so to speak, your social media following because you had a lot of reach through your social media, through Instagram, through Facebook and other places. So you figured out a great way to tap into that resource and do something good with it. And that's an important thing. It's great to have, 1 million friends on Facebook, but
right.
If you don't do anything with it, what's the point?
Yeah.
But it's interesting because we're seeing this dynamic now of social media really infiltrating a lot of businesses. Even my business is a financial advisor. We use a lot of social media to communicate and talk, and this is something far different than it was 10 years ago. Did you find out about this business through social media?
Well, it was more of like an affirmation of after I found out of the business, about the business from my friend, I researched it, and social media gave me that, that feel good feeling where, okay, a lot of people are doing this, a lot of people are having success with it, and social media is a really powerful tool for it.
Right.
So it kind of was definitely, like you said, something that pushed me a little bit further to jumpstart it. But I did want to say, just with some of the things that you said right there, for this particular business, like I didn't really tap into my social media following, didn't have much effect on my business to start off. No.
Interesting.
Because it takes a lot of reaching out to people on your end. A lot of people don't want to come forward if I were to write something about it. I'm not going to get a lot of response. And plus, my following was very news oriented. So you got a lot of, older guys. You got a lot of guys.
Couldn't have anything to do with you.
So I mean, it wasn't like that has been a huge help for me. Right. A lot of women that have success with Arbonne are, no social media, have to start up their social media. Okay. But the tool that social media can be is that there is somebody like you out there, if that makes sense. So there are moms out there. There are nurses that want to start their own business out there. There are business owners that aren't having success with their business that want to tap into something else that you can find, that you can reach out to using hashtags, using all of these different social media tools that you have to find people like you that will relate to you. And so that's what I've done. That's what thousands of women are doing right now with social media is finding people they can relate to, reaching out to them, and then telling them about the business opportunity here.
Right.
So, it can be an anybody kind of thing. Like for me, my social media really didn't have an impact because, again, like I said.
Well, that's an interesting aspect. I didn't think about that too because, because of where your social media came from, which was from when you were on television. I didn't think about that, but because I'm thinking more of Kardashian, who turned $128 million followers into $1 billion business, right? Selling makeup, right? But she had a tremendous amount of women that followed her.
Yes.
So that's kind of the interesting aspect here. Now, but you're with the social media aspect of this, and again, for instance, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you about your business, say, hey, I'm interested in doing what you're doing. Can I get into that too? How do they find you?
They find me on social media. So
there you go.
Yes, for sure.
Instagram, it's at Scarlett Horton, right?
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
So
if you have any interest in it, yes, it's low startup cost. That was the other thing that we started off with saying is low risk. Yes, I had my husband, but for Arbonne, they make it so easy for you. It's not easy to build up. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of grit and determination. You're not going to just, breeze through this. You're going to be working from your house, but it's $49 to start everything. Right. You get a website, you get, all everything. Of this. Yeah. All
so
of this.
What's your website?
My website is scarletthorton.arbonne.com.
There you go.
Yes.
So, but yeah, and so this is something, and if trying to get started again, and what was the thing that almost made you not want to do it? What was the big hurdle?
The big hurdle was overcoming the social marketing aspect of it. So a lot of people will kind of say in your face, well, that's an MLM.
Right.
But with Arbonne, there are good MLMs and there are bad MLMs.
Right.
Of course, you have to understand that. And with Arbonne, like I said, from the very start, I've gotten nothing but people messaging me, thanking me for helping them lose weight, for helping them clear their skin, for finding clean, nutrition, makeup, and skincare that has actually made a difference in their lives. Plus, the women that I'm helping build their own business. Right. I mean, I'm giving other people that opportunity to reach that financial freedom. These women that haven't spent any time with their children, that have spent years in the corporate world and, missed out on the first couple of years of their kid's life and say, I'm done with that. I want to find a way. Help me, Scarlett.
Right.
And it's not a sign somebody up and I get paid for that. It's I don't get paid if I sign you up. I get paid if I help you, if I train you, and if you become successful with me. Right. So it's kind of like what is that term? Like a
mentoring.
Yes, a mentoring. Exactly. And so it's been so rewarding for me. And, anybody can start it. We've got nurses, I was telling you off air, that are doing this. We've got doctors. We have women that have created their own business that aren't having success with it, that want to try something else. College students. I mean, jam-packed schedules. You can make your own hours with this. If you only have time to work 1 hour, I mean, as a financial advisor, is there anything bad about getting an extra $50 in your pocket a month?
No, of course not.
Right. And so you can go up from there. So, 50 to no cap. They won't take your, anything off of.
Well, and again, you brought up a good point because immediately, as soon as you throw out something like MLM, people have very bad connotations of that. But there's really big companies that are MLMs, Nutrisystems, Herbalife, Amway. I mean, these are decade-long, stories that have basically tapped into this branched marketing idea where I get people to sell for me. And again, sales is half the game. If you want to distribute product from the corporate aspect of this, if I can get a whole bunch of people selling my product, great. And they're all tapping into their networks. And and this becomes going back to the social media aspect now. With social media, this really allows people to build big followings, have communication, really kind of amplify that whole situation. So so the real key here is really just, again, going back to the original part of the story, which is, stepping out there, taking the risk. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, your husband went out, he started building bathrooms. Right. I don't know how he picked that field, but he's really apparently he really likes bathrooms.
Yay!
So, there's a joke in here somewhere. I'm going to leave it alone. But the idea it's not necessarily this business. It's just this idea that you could have actually started any business you wanted, but it all revolves around the same thing, which is you've got to be willing to wake up one day and say, today's the day I'm going to take the risk and start it.
Right. Exactly. And like I said, I wanted to ask you a question. I mean, is there any downside to having a side income?
Well, there's no downside to having a side income as long as you report it properly to the IRS.
Right. Well, that's true. Make sure that you are putting money aside for your taxes as well.
Yes, that's the downside. People, no, look, there's three things that I think are the biggest challenges for people to overcome to start a business. And look, I've started multiples of businesses in my life, and there's been success, there's been failure, and all of them require one thing, which is, you said it earlier, you've got to have the grit and the determination that when you hit the speed bumps, and the bigger the business you're trying to start, the more speed bumps you're going to have.
Yes.
You've got to be willing to plow over them and keep going. Most people hit that speed bump and they stop.
Yes.
They go, it didn't work.
You can't give up.
Yeah, exactly.
Because where are you going to be in 5 years? Where are you going to be in 10? Are you just looking at 6 months? Oh, I've had no success in 6 months. Or are you looking at 3 years from now?
Exactly.
5, 10. Exactly.
No, this is exactly the point. So, but the other thing is lack of capital is one of the biggest challenges for people.
Mm-hmm.
So they try to start a business and they don't have support from a spouse, or they don't have a little bit of a nest egg in the bank to live off of while they're getting their business started. And then, of course, the other challenge, to your point, is not putting money aside to pay taxes.
Yes.
And when the IRS man comes, that'll put a business out pretty quick. So,
yes.
You got to really do your planning.
Of course.
And you've really got to think about it. But I think the biggest challenge is always the grit and the determination, the willingness to take the risk to start with. If you can get over that hump, the rest is actually
I got
pretty
over
easy.
my $49 risk. I got over it. I was like, $49, I can do this.
You can do this.
And here I am.
But there's still a challenge every day. You got to get up and do this.
It's true. You can't give up on it. And you have to really believe in it and be passionate about it.
So, at Scarlett Horton.
Yes. At Scarlett Horton is my Instagram handle. And you can message me there.
Exactly.
So, yep.
Or at Scarlett Horton. I'll spit that out.
Mm-hmm.
At .arbonne.com.
ScarlettHorton.arbonne.com.
There you go.
Yes.
It's ARBONNE.
Yes.
There you go. Scarlett, thanks so much.
Yes,
Good to see
thank
you again.
Lance. Yay, you too.
Yeah,
so awesome.
So baby's great.
Baby
That's
is great.
awesome.
Everything is good. Just living my life as a boss lady.
I like it. All right, that wraps up the Lance Arbor Show for today. We will be back in the morning. Catch you with what happens up in the markets, of course. Get by the website. Our article out today is on the employment data from Friday. What's it really saying, and what do you really need to be paying attention to in those numbers, and why it has a lot of impact on the economy. Also, this weekend's newsletter's out. Simply click the newsletter link, and we went through a lot of issues about, why experience is the only cure for investors, particularly in this environment today. Those are on the website now. Send me your questions, comments, and emails simply by clicking the Ask a Question button, or follow us on social media as well. It's all there at the website, realinvestmentadvice.com. We'll see you in the morning. Chris Salcedo coming right up.
Got a question for Lance later? Ask now at realinvestmentadvice.com.
It's a rich man's world.